Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of English Time with Kyle Miller. And I'm your friend, Kyle Miller. We have a nice show today. I'm going to do something different that I have never done before. And I guess it's something I can do nicely in this podcast format. Today on the show, I am going to simply put a question into Chat GPT, and I am going to spend the entire show talking about the response that it gives me. And this, of course, is going to be related to English learning. And today my question is, or my prompt, let's say, is the following. List 20 common mistakes Spanish speakers make when speaking English. So I'm going to put this prompt into Chat GPT, and I'm going to see what it says, and then I will comment on each one of these, and we can practice with each one of these. Now, I don't know how long today's show will last, but that's the beauty of the podcast format, that we can spend as much time. A podcast could be, some people have podcasts that last 4 minutes. Others have podcasts that last 3 hours. So I promise we'll be somewhere in the middle. But anyway, let's get into it. I'm going to type this into Chat GPT. Together we'll see what it says, and I think we'll end up with a didactic program, as I will give my own examples and my, let's call it, the human touch. Was that a Bruce Springsteen song? Anyway, the human touch to the response from ChatGPT. So let's get into it. Let's get started. My name is Kyle Miller, and thank you for tuning in. I'll still say tuning in, aunque no se sintoniza como la radio, but let's still say tuning in. Thanks for connecting. Thanks for clicking. Thanks for subscribing, because this is English Time with Kyle Miller. I really need to do something about that intro music. It's music that I used for my my drive time show, which I did for 17 years on Vaughan Radio, the drive time show. And now my thinking was, well, I thought I'll use that music for a few weeks, and then I'll get my own music, new music. But in the end, now it's been 11 weeks. This is our 11th episode. And I'm still using the same music, but I will change it at some point. But I miss, right? Echo de menos. I miss having a sound technician to help me with all of that stuff. But I'm working on solutions to that. There will be new things coming, don't worry. I'm still in a bit of a transition period here. But anyway, today should be an interesting show. Let's call it Kyle versus ChatGPT. Now, first of all, before we get into the responses from ChatGPT, because I have asked a question here, right? I have asked the question, or have put in a prompt, right? When you put in information, we call it a prompt, which is to give me common mistakes that Spanish speakers make when speaking English. This is the prompt I put in. But I will say this, no matter what the results are, and I haven't looked yet, no matter what the results are, I really believe that we will never, I certainly hope, but I think that we will never replace the value of a human being in the teacher-student, teacher-learner relationship. And English, or communication, language, is, I think, a great example of that, because a big part of communication is the nerves, the nervousness that people feel of speaking in public. The feeling that you get, even in your own language. They say it's the number one fear that people have, speaking in public. Hablando en público. So a very typical thing, and I have had thousands, maybe tens of thousands of students over the years, certainly tens of thousands of hours of classes taught to thousands of students. And so many say, well, or in Spanish, lo sabía, I knew it. But the thing is, it doesn't matter if you know it. Whatever it is, whatever the mistake is, whatever the grammar piece is or the vocabulary term is, it doesn't matter if you know it. Can you reproduce it with ease, sin pensarlo? That's the trick. Can you reproduce it? And can you deliver the speech, even if you know the vocabulary, can you speak, can you say it, can you use it without getting so nervous because you've never actually spoken to a person because you learned through a book or through an app? And I think that is the beauty of the real teacher. It's the beauty of a real teacher, which is speaking to real people and having a real person there. So yes, there are great apps and there are great tools that can give you answers and can give you rules. But having a real teacher is going to, or real human interaction, is something that a computer or an AI program can never replace. So I think, even if you're talking to your teacher, you're not going to, it's not the same as if you're in your office negotiating with a difficult client. You're probably not as nervous. I get that. I understand that. But it's somewhere in between. If you're laying in bed, half asleep, looking at your phone and answering questions from an AI program, sure, that's helpful, but it's not approaching the experience of, as we say, butterflies in your stomach, mariposas en el estómago, as we say in English. The nervousness of, oh my gosh, I'm in a real situation. But talking to a real human being, a real teacher or a conversation club or something like that, is what's going to really help you. And in fact, I will take the opportunity to mention that I have, with this in mind, I have created my own community called the English Collective. And it is a hybrid product where we have classes. I teach there several times a week. We have other exceptional teachers chosen by me. You even have Richard Vaughn gave a master class there a while ago. We have other exceptional teachers who you may recognize. I think some of the best teachers in Spain. And we offer basically classes for a whole month of classes. Costs about the same as 1 hour of conventional classes because the teachers are at home. I'm in my house. I'm broadcasting. Everything is recorded. We have usually about 24 classes per month for about €35. I mean, it's an incredible deal. It's probably the highest value product I've ever been aware of in the English learning space. So you can visit it at theenglishcollective.com. But if you're interested in joining, I do have a special deal, a special offer. So if you're a podcast listener and you want more information, you can visit theenglishcollective.com, or you can email me, Kyle at theenglishcollective.com, and I will tell you about how you can get a special deal to try it, because it's really special. And the reason I mention this now is because we have a conversation club, and that's something that AI can never replicate, which is conversation with real people. So we meet a few times a week to practice our speaking together, which is something that, regardless of how much you are practicing with AI tools, for example, or books or whatever, or classes, you need to be able to speak. So that's something we've created. I do a conversation club where I meet with members here. It's free for all the members of the English Collective. And we meet on Wednesday evenings, and we also meet again on Saturday mornings. So if you want to join the conversation club and practice your speaking with me and the others we've become friends. It's a really fun community. We have some people who just want to listen. They say, look, I just want to listen. I'm a bit shy for the first week or two and then whatever you want to do. But it's a great, great tool and something I'm very proud of. And it's a great part of our community at the English Collective. But like I said, if you're interested, you can send me an email, kyle@theenglishcollective.com, or visit the website. But we have a special deal now, so I encourage you to email me, and I will tell you all about that, kyle@theenglishcollective.com. But let's get into our content for today. So I have put in these prompts. Well, this single prompt, I said, list. In fact, my exact wording was this: list 20 very common mistakes Spaniards make when speaking English. That was it. So I'm going to talk about each of these. We'll probably spend a minute or two on each one. And hopefully I can add some value beyond simply what the Chat GPT says. So number one, and I agree with this one, saying people is instead of people are. Claro, porque en Spanish you say la gente es. But in English we say people are. So a way to think of this is, instead of saying la gente, it's almost like las personas. When you say la gente, in inglés decimos las personas son, no? We say people are. So how do you practice this? One thing is to know it, but you could just look in a book or ask Chat GPT to know it, but how do you internalize this? Very, very common mistake, and I agree that it's number one. It's a common number one. So the way I do it is by repeating, and a lot of these things, the best way is to repeat. So if you find yourself making this mistake, then you have to have the discipline to work on it until the problem is not a problem anymore. So here we have people are. So I always practice this one with my students with nationalities. And it gives you a chance to broaden your vocabulary base here too. So we can say the people in France are French. Pick a country. How about Spain? The people in Spain are Spanish. The people in Finland are Finnish. In China? The people in China are Chinese. Japan? The people in Japan are Japanese. Thailand? The people in Thailand are Thai. Argentina? The people in Argentina are Argentinian. The people in Argentina are Argentinian. Brazil? The people in Brazil are Brazilian. Okay. Canada? The people in Canada are wonderful. My little joke there. But it's true. I think we're nice people. The people in Canada are Canadian, right? We don't, Canada. By the way, we say Canada, not Canada. It's Canada. The people in Canada are Canadian. Okay, number one. Make and do. Okay, my advice for make and do. Both, Spanish uses hacer for both. That's true. So with this one, we have some guidelines, but then we have a lot of exceptions. So generally speaking, to make is to fabricate or to create something. Whereas to do is like to carry out processes or procedures. Okay? So to do a job, processes, procedures to do the work that is needed, to do the cooking. Now you're making a meal. Who's doing the cooking tonight? Who's making the meal? Now, we have a lot of exceptions, and these exceptions require memorization, unfortunately. But this is a case where I wrote a book about verbs called The Verb Circus. Yes, I am a bit of a verb nerd. And here I have, in fact, if you're a member of the English Collective, it's also in the Resource Center. Other than our conversation club and our live classes, there are a lot of resources in there. And you can find this lesson about make and do in there. I have a section, it says, un poco más sobre make and do. So there's certain exceptions where I recommend you just read them out loud, leyendo en voz alta. So you can make a list, and by saying them out loud, you will internalize the correct structure, right? So to do better, imagine he did better than last year, but he hasn't done better than he did 3 years ago. She did the Sudoku, but she hasn't done the crossword puzzle yet. I did the job well last year, but I haven't done the job well this year. We did business in Spain years ago, but we haven't done business in Portugal yet. Now with the verb so, to do better, to do a puzzle, to do a job, to do business, to do something, to do the dishes, right? To do exercises, to do favors, to do wonders, hacer maravillas. But to make a request, make a phone call, to make a mistake, to make the bed. No estás fabricando una cama, pero se dice así. He made the bed, she made the bed yesterday, but she hasn't made the bed so far today. We made 3 changes yesterday, but we haven't made any changes today. Gives you a chance to practice some key grammar too. I recommend that structure with verbs because you can push it into so many with different verbs. You push it into the simple past and the present perfect. And in fact, I have an exercise, a little document I call the Agility Accelerator. And it helps you gain agility with key grammar. And I do recommend, that you check it out. In fact, if you email me, I'll have a free, I should make a free version. All right, if you're interested, email me. I'm just inventing this right now, but I'll do a shortened version which I can give away. The full thing I give to members of the English Collective. If you're a member there, you will get it when you join. But if you're not a member and you still want my Agility Accelerator document, send me an email, kyle@theenglishcollective.com, and I can email it to you, okay? Or at least a version of it to help you with these things. So with make and do, the key is to memorize. Understand the common general guidelines of the difference, but then let's look at and then memorize certain abnormalities, okay, that you have to memorize, okay? So you can make lists. So the ones I gave you, like to do better, do a puzzle, do a job, do business, do anything, do nothing, do something, do the dishes, do exercises, do favors, do wonders, do business. And we have make a request, make a phone call, make a mistake, make the bed, make changes, make a speech, make a list, make a fortune, make an appointment, make a decision, for example. Okay, so that's make and do. I'm going to move on because we're only at number 2, and I've already been talking for over 19 minutes through the magic of the podcast here. Number 3 says using actually instead of currently. Yeah, so this is a mistake because it's a false friend. Okay, actualmente is not actually. We don't say I actually live in Madrid. We say I currently live in Madrid. So actually is almost like saying en realidad. Okay? Currently means actualmente, ahora mismo, en este momento. Okay? All right. Next one. Forgetting the subject. Yes. Spanish allows dropping it. English does not. Está lloviendo. Is raining. No. It is raining. We need a subject. It's raining. It was raining yesterday. And some people say, pero ¿qué aporta eso del it? Well, we need a subject in English. Yes, so we have to add one. Okay? It's raining. He's here. Está aquí. ¿Quién? He is. He's here. She's here. It's here. Right? In Spanish, you would say, está aquí. Se entiende que estamos hablando de él. O ella. O ello. But in English, we have to add that subject. Okay? Confusing fun and funny. Yes. The movie was very funny. No. Well, it could be. The movie was funny in the sense of gracioso. So be careful. Funny means gracioso. Has another meaning, which I'll tell you about in 10 seconds. But fun is divertido. Okay? Divertido. Fun. But funny can be gracioso, but it can also be like raro. Eso sabe raro, no sé. No sé qué pasó, pero sabe raro. It tastes funny. It tastes strange. He has a funny accent. Puede ser gracioso o también puede ser como raro. En este caso, raro, ¿no? The party was fun. We had fun. The football match was fun. But the movie maybe was funny because it was a comedy, okay? Number 6. People saying, I have X years. Ah, yes. Tengo 25 años. I have 25 years. No, I am 25 years old. I'm 25 years old. Yes. Now, two things to remember here. Yeah, we say I am. We use the verb to be. But another thing that I recommend is you have to remember to finish the sentence. Either you go with a short answer and you say, I'm 25, I'm 45, I'm 50, he's 60. Or the longer answer is, I'm 25 years old, she's 40 years old, he's 60 years old. My brother is 47 years old. Pero lo que no se puede decir, no se puede decir es dejarlo en medio. Y decir, I'm 40 years. No. If you say years, ya has hecho ese compromiso, hay que acabarlo. Right? You have to say, I'm 40 years old. Okay? That's my trick for that one. So, again, ways to practice. En voz alta, out loud. If you say, I keep making that mistake. I know it, but I keep making the mistake. Well, you have to force yourself to practice until the correct structure comes naturally, exclusively and naturally. So maybe write a list or just make yourself say it. He is 25, she is 36, he is 37, whatever. My mother is 75, my neighbor is 65, my sister is 47 years old. Just keep saying it. Or you can use it in the negatives, right? Is your brother 46 years old? Or is he 47 years old? And if you say that enough times, if you say the correct structure enough times, if you say, well, this is a problem. Tengo un problema con esto. Well, then you can just force yourself to say it correctly 300 times, right? No te vale 4 veces. Hay que decirlo, dilo 200 veces. Say it 200 times. And then the next day, say it 100 times. And then wait a couple of days and then say it again 200 times the day after that. And you will solve the problem. This is the thing with common mistakes. Practice makes perfect. The old adage. practice makes perfect, and I believe it. So you have to force yourself to say these structures correctly over and over again. Okay? I like this one a lot, using since instead of for. Using since instead of for. Ooh, boy, desde. Okay, so since is desde. For is durante. So again, what I'm doing, guys, is I'm just commenting on the common mistakes according to Chat GPT. So for, I would also add the word during here, because for is usually durante. Hablando del tiempo, ¿vale? So for, I was in the office for 2 hours. Durante 2 horas. Now, for can be used in any tense. It can be in the past. Yesterday I was in the office for an hour. I have been in this chair, present perfect, I've been in this chair for 40 minutes. Tomorrow I will be in the supermarket for 10 minutes, whatever, right? Since, eso es desde. Desde, okay? I have been in this chair for 27 minutes. I have been in this chair since the start of the show. Since goes with present perfect. Since is followed by a moment. Un momento. Puntual. ¿Vale? Since. I've been here. I've lived in Spain since 2004. I've been in this chair since 7 o'clock, for example. Okay? During, I'll add this one. But yeah, during, también es durante, but during is used to introduce a period of time that we are placing a moment into. Okay? During the class, Kyle spoke about interesting things. He spoke about interesting things for 35 minutes. During the class, my phone rang. My phone rang for 10 seconds. During the Olympics, I watched a lot of games. I watched games for several hours. During the summer, I went to the beach. I went to the beach for 45 minutes. During the summer, it doesn't mean durante todo el verano en el sentido de que hablando de ese periodo de tiempo, right? Diciendo que una duración, no. Sino colocando momento en un periodo de tiempo. Indicating when something happened, okay? But yeah, since, desde, for, in this case, durante, okay? Number 8, adding the unnecessarily. Yes, it's true. The people is happy. Okay, that's wrong for 2 reasons. The people are happy. Well, people are happy in general. I like the football. No, I like football. So, people, my example, people like chocolate. Which is true. I mean, most people like chocolate. People like chocolate. The people in my family love chocolate. So once I get specific somehow, then I can introduce the article. Okay? All right. So yeah, the article the. So we are going to only use the article the when we're talking about when we've made it specific. You know, elephants are big. Elephants are big. The elephants on Mars are small. Huh? The elephants in Africa are gray. The elephants in Asia are brown. Okay? Once we make it specific, then Once we make it specific, then we can introduce the article. Number 9. Lucky number 9. Confusing borrow and lend. Because in Spanish, you don't have the word borrow. No existe ningún verbo para eso. Lend es prestar. Pero no existe un verbo para eso. ¿Vale? So in English, we say to lend to and borrow from. In Spanish, you literally say to take lent, no? Tomar prestado. Tomar prestado. In English, to borrow. We have a verb for this, to borrow. Can you borrow me money? No. Can you lend me money? Can you lend me some money? Okay. Borrow from, lend to. Number 10. Number 10. And this might be the last one. I know I said I would do 20, but we're already talking for over a half an hour. Maybe I will finish after this and we'll do a part 2 of this. Okay, part 2. Remind and remember. Amigo. So yes, you have to remember that remind is external. It causes you to remember something. Whereas remember is internal. I have to remember what to buy when I go to the grocery store. I'm trying to remember what to buy. So I make a list to remind me. The list reminds me what to buy. Or you can remind someone to do something. We have as a noun a reminder. Give me a reminder. Send me a reminder. Because otherwise I won't remember. So you could say, recuérdame. Remind me. Remind me to call him. So in the next episode, I can remind you of this. Or will you remember on your own? Or should I remind you? If you'd like, I can remind you. But we've gone for over a half an hour. Now I know compared to my old shows, the Drive Time show where I did 90 minutes of live radio every day for 15 or 16 years. This is a different format, and I think I'll keep it fresh here. Keep it a little bit shorter. So I think we're going to end there today. And you might be saying, but Kyle, you promised 20, and I've only done 10. So I think I'm going to finish the rest of the list on the next episode. So it's like a suspense ending, you know? We'll end with suspense here. But we have looked at 10 of this list. And I'll continue with the same list next time with my prompt. 20 very common mistakes Spaniards make when speaking English. So I'll look at the next 10 in our next episode that I'm calling Kyle versus Chat GPT. That's right. Do you really need an English teacher? Well, I think it helps, right? For the reason I've mentioned, and for speaking and for practicing. And in fact, I'm leaving now because as I'm recording, I have a class in 15 minutes in my own community, the English Collective, and my students are waiting for me there. They will be there in 15 minutes, and you can be there too. Like I said, you can join the fun at theenglishcollective.com. We also have our conversation club on Saturdays and on Wednesdays. And if you want to join, I encourage you to email me because I want to give you a special discount. Later, maybe for next week, I'll configure a code where you can get a discount for podcast members. But if you email me, I will tell you a special offer to try our community where we have English classes, basically a month, un mes de clases, y cuesta como lo que cuesta nuevamente una clase. Es que el valor es brutal. So you can email me if you want. I have a special community for that, theenglishcollective.com. But write to me. So you'll get a better deal. I'll give you a special discount, okay? Kyle at theenglishcollective.com. But I'm going to finish the episode for today. It's been a fun one, and I know I promised more but I'm going to cut it off for now. But I'll be back soon with another episode, and we'll look at the next 10 common mistakes according to Chat GPT, and I will share a bit more of my advice on helping you eliminate those common mistakes and master the correct form. Okay. So thanks for listening, everybody. I'll be back very soon with another episode. I appreciate you, and I ask you to please subscribe. I'm here on my own now, so I appreciate any help you have spreading the word about the podcast. Please subscribe. It definitely helps me. And share with your friends. If you know anyone who wants to improve their English, you can share this episode with them. And I appreciate that. So thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.